actually 3 years old. So I did want to make that clarification. Last night, a arrest warrant was issued for Juan Bravo Torres. He has been arrested on that arrest warrant. He is currently still in the hospital. He is under 24/7 law enforcement supervision. Upon his discharge, he will be transported directly from the hospital to the John E. Polk Correctional Facility in Sanford, Florida on a no bond status. His charges that he's facing at this time are first-degree premeditated murder and first-degree attempted murder. The 12-year-old female is still hospitalized, and she is still in critical but stable condition. I'll be welcome to entertain any questions you may have at this time.
Is the mom saying anything?
I don't have any information on the mom at this time.
There's a brother?
Yes, I believe he was out of state. He wasn't present at the time.
Can you please tell us how the things occurred?
Yes, a
How
little
the
bit about the
situation?
affidavit.
From the affidavit?
Yes.
So from the information we have so far, the investigation is still very preliminary. It appears that Mr. Bravo Torres murdered the younger daughter first and then went into the bedroom and attacked the 12-year-old daughter. She was very courageous and fought off the attack. He retreated for a short amount of time and then came back where the 12-year-old daughter played dead, and then he dragged the two young girls into the bathroom and then began to use the knife on himself. The 12-year-old played dead until she believed that her father was unconscious, and then fled the house and ran to a nearby McDonald's where her mother worked.
Do we have any idea of a motive or if mental health was a factor?
Not at this time.
Was he on your radar before?
No, he wasn't on our radar beforehand.
Did the mother live in the house?
Yes, the mother did live in the house.
Is a 12-year-old going to get any help at this time? Any trauma support?
Absolutely. There's multiple resources that are in place, victims advocates, and we'll be working very closely with the family if they're wanting to accept it. But there are many resources that we can provide the family.
Where was the mother at that time?
She was at work at McDonald's.
Is the brother also from the dad as well, or who is he out of state with?
I don't have that information at this time.
How's that 12-year-old girl holding up now? Did she say anything?
I know that there's, with her being a juvenile, I don't want to get into the medical aspect of it. Our investigators are in contact with her, and that's all I'm going to say at this time.
How do you get the information about this situation? From the girl or from the mother?
So the 12-year-old girl ran from her house to the McDonald's where her mom worked, and from the McDonald's an employee called 911, and officers responded to the McDonald's where the mom was working, found the 12-year-old there who was covered in blood at the time, and from the information gathered at McDonald's, they then went to the address, and once at the address, they had no contact at the door. After knocking, tried calling a phone, no answer inside. So based on exigent circumstances, they entered the residence where they immediately observed large amounts of blood, and they then did a sweep of the residence to check for any victims, and that's when they discovered the young 3-year-old in the bathroom, and also Juan Bravo Torres in the bathroom as well.
How are the condition of father and daughter?
They are both in critical condition at this time.
You said an employee called 911, meaning it wasn't the mom who called 911, it was somebody else?
Correct.
Can you talk about how this has been for your officers? They spent hours at the house yesterday walking in to see a 3-year-old. This has got to be very difficult.
It is very difficult. A lot of us have children of our own, some of us grandchildren, and this is a very small, tight-knit community, and we have a lot of vested interest in our community, and the officers have actually, this morning, took it upon themselves to buy some flowers and balloons and go out and place them in front of the house, just so that, you know, if the 12-year-old comes back, she can see that there's some support not only from the community but from the police department as well, and also in memory of the 3-year-old who tragically lost her life. But it's something that, unfortunately, law enforcement, firefighters, public safety professionals, you expect that you're going to encounter something like this at some point in your career, but you can never prepare for it, and there's still the human aspect where there's grief, and we have resources in place to help the officers and firefighters as well if need be.
Has the father said anything from the hospital?
I don't know at this time. The investigators are in contact with the father.
Did the mom say anything about the dad being violent before towards them?
I don't know if the mother has said anything about that. Mr. Bravo Torres was arrested by our agency in 2011 for a domestic-related issue, but that was the most recent incident that we had with the family. So I don't know if there was anything between then and now that would have raised any alarms.
I guess anything else you can share about the actions of that 12-year-old? We knew yesterday it was incredible that she was able to get to that McDonald's, but reading that affidavit today reveals how much more went into her getting herself to safety.
Absolutely. As I mentioned yesterday, the amount of courage that this 12-year-old young lady had, it's just remarkable to, at that age, to be sleeping and woken up by being attacked with a knife, seeing your younger sister and the condition she was in, fighting off your father, and having the mindset to think, how am I going to get out of this? What can I do to actively participate in saving my own life? And she thought the best thing at the time was to play dead, and it worked. And then when he lost consciousness, she got out of the house and she went to where she knew her mom was. And it's just remarkable that grown adults may not have been able to come to that decision. And this 12-year-old did that, and she's alive today because of the choices that she made.
So the suspect had records for battery and assault. There is another incident for domestic violence in all this time? Between
The last-
2011.
Well, I can only speak for the Longwood Police Department. The Longwood Police Department, the last contact with him was in 2011, where we arrested him for domestic battery. I can't speak to whether he's had any law enforcement interactions with other agencies throughout Central Florida.
Do you have anything you want to say about domestic violence situations if people need help?
Absolutely. If anybody needs help with domestic violence, there are a lot of outlets. We can recommend safe houses. We can help you get out of an abusive relationship. I think the hardest thing is for the people involved to find the courage to speak up. That's where it's incumbent upon the friends and family. Oftentimes, when a critical situation happens, people say, yeah, you know, we saw things were getting bad, or, oh, you know, I could see where that would happen. If you're seeing the signs, bring it to their attention and help them seek help. If they're not going to do it on their own, fight for them. If they're your close friend or family member, come to us, get us involved. We will investigate. We can we can get so many resources involved to help people get out of abusive relationships. There is an outlet. There is help. You don't have to fight domestic violence alone.
Do you know anything about the wounds? The wounds?
The wounds?
Yeah.
They were all knife-related wounds.
How can we hope to uncover the motive in this case?
Well, that will be on the part of the investigators. With the suspect still being in critical condition, an extensive interview may not be likely in the short term, but we're hoping that eventually, in the coming hours, days, weeks, whatever it may be, that we can determine what the motive was. But at this time, it's not known why this happened.
Have you interviewed the father?
I'm not aware of that at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.